in case.
Just take it in case? All right.
Yeah.
I'm not really actively looking, but if it's there, you know.
Yeah, if something pops up.
There's something right here, guys. Did you see that? Well, in the thermal, it wasn't a flash. We're experiencing some equipment drainage.
Friday, May 5th, 2023, just before the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. We arrived early to spend some time with an old friend, veteran Bigfoot researcher Glen Adkins. Glen Adkins is the creator of the world-famous Squatch Stick. Glen has been interested in Bigfoot since he was 4, and he heads up the Ohio Squatch Project. Aside from lecturing about Bigfoot, Glen is fairly private. He contacted me a while back to arrange an on-site interview and walkthrough of some of the places he had had his previous encounters. So while everyone else was getting ready for the big show the next day, we hit the trail with Glen to learn about his past encounters and maybe have a few of our own.
Whoa.
When we got to the area, I quickly began to pass out some equipment to our nearby volunteers.
Actually, it's about 15, so it'll go up to about 15, all right?
After a few simple instructions, they were pretty much ready to go.
Right now. If it
And
goes
Glen
up
wanted to make
above
sure
40,
that everyone understood
really loud.
we were there
Okay,
for
well,
the right reason.
before we start doing anything,
Yep.
just because I believe in some of this stuff, 3 weeks ago there was a death here, so I think we really got to watch if something does what we say.
Glen made a very good point. We were there to record his accounts, things that he had observed here in the past. We weren't here to talk about ghosts. We were here to talk about Bigfoot.
It's like I was telling him.
Hopefully
Back in the day when this was all, this wasn't here, you know, I was telling these guys earlier, this has changed so much. There were like 6 or 8 huge pine trees that lined up through here that we used to sleep under. Well, this is where we used to go to. I was telling you earlier, like 3 or 4 nights a week, we would come down here. This was before Bigfooting was cool. This was, if you got caught Bigfooting in a state park, you were thrown out. So we came up with when the rangers say, hey, what are you doing here at 1 in the morning? We're listening, we're doing a study on sounds at nighttime in the wild. Oh, okay. Well, they never asked us for our recorders because we didn't have anything. You know, this was our excuse. And if you told them we were Bigfooting, they'd ask you to leave. At Salt Fork, when we go into the bar or something, we'd say, hey, have you had any, we're not allowed to talk about that. And if they talked about it, they got fired. Now you go in there and it's like, this is what our whole entertainment thing is about now. We have Bigfoot Ridge. Come out here and stay the night on Bigfoot Ridge. Look at their gift shop. Over half of it is Bigfoot-related items. But back then, the rangers and nobody would talk about it. We had one ranger that we befriended, and he would come out and sit with us at night and check on us. And he got to a point where he told us about his 2 sightings. And the one sighting, I told you about the tornado that was coming, and he got the call while he was sitting here. So he took off out of here the way we came in, went across the bridge, started up that hill, and a bunch of deer were running down the middle of the road toward him. And as he went around the bend and the top of the hill, there was a Bigfoot running toward the deer. And that was one of his first sightings. The other one is about 100 yards down the road here. There's a entrance to a horse trail. And as he was pulling his car up, we could walk up there and I could show you that horse trail. It was actually standing behind the sign, kneeling down. And as he pulled up to it, he thought he saw something moving. At first he thought it was a bear, but then it stood up.
What year was this, roughly?
Mid-'80s, when that happened for him. My sighting was in like 92 or 93. So he was closer to retirement then. And we kind of lost track after we quit coming. But this is the place that we used to park in a pickup truck. And Steve and I used to always be sleeping here, and they had that metal top that goes over top of your pickup trucks. And from over here in the woods, we would just start to fall asleep when something would fly and land on top of our truck. Sometimes it'd be a big log stick that didn't have anywhere to fall, or a rock, or there's a creek that runs through up here that they could grab river or creek rocks from there and pitch at us. Never nothing to hurt us or big, but they would just be playing games with us all the time. And this happened all the time. And we'd throw the window up, open the gate, and you could hear them running up there almost giggling. You know, it was just, that's the way it was. We traded stuff to them, they gave them stuff, they gave us stuff. And it was just kind of a, I don't want to say, not a relationship, but it was kind of a give and take. That's why I tell people I saw Bigfoot. It wasn't when I was hunting, it wasn't when I was doing these other things. He let me see him. Here at 1 o'clock in the morning, I parked like where you parked. So if you look across the lake, you see that hill, that's where the stone house is. That night's plan was Dennis and Bob were going over to that hill. Steve and I were going to stay here. So like I said, it was about 1 o'clock I got here. Me and Steve are standing around talking, and Bob and Dennis leave. And as soon as they leave, Steve and I are like, we're going fishing. So we started unloading our fishing stuff, and we walked from here over to the edge of the lake. As we're taking stuff over, we get to the edge of the lake. I'm setting down a chair, I'm setting down my fishing pole, and something splashes in the water. Well, it was a rock that came in and went in. And Steve and I kind of laughed it off. We were like, it's going to be one of those nights. Again, we're not going to sleep. So we came back, picked up more stuff, walked back, and another rock came in. And like I said, these trees were 30 years or whatever it was. Yeah, it'll be 30 years almost. Yeah. These trees weren't this high. And this was more of a swampy area. And I said, Steve, that's coming from down the road. He says, yeah, it is. I said, let's walk down there and see if we can hear something up on the hill. So we did. We both had our flashlights, and we started walking this way. It was a cloudy night, you know, it was dark. You couldn't see anything. And back then, again, this guardrail that they put up is about where he was, but it wasn't there at the time. You could drive this all the way into the water if you wanted to. And Steve and I were just talking and, you know, listening, trying to hear something. We expected to hear something over in this area. And I still can't explain it. We got up into here, probably about midway, 20 yards from it, something like that. And for some reason, we both had our lights at the same time. And what we did, I mean, we were closer than this. We did this, and he was standing here. And, of course, we stopped. We didn't walk up and give any high fives.
As one does.
Anything. Yeah, and I still get, while you were looking for Bigfoot, why didn't you have a camera? Well, we've been here a long time, and I still believe a camera's not going to do it. Look at Patterson Gimlin film. Some of the best evidence ever. And there's a lot of other videos out there that are impressive. And pictures. And nobody wants to believe it. Well, that's really why or not why we were here. We wanted to have a relationship type of thing with them. So, and to be quite honest with you, at no time from this point where I saw it to the time that it left and Bob and Dennis came over, I never thought about a picture. Wow. I never thought about a video. The only thing I was thinking is, man, I'm going to have to change these pants.
I'll bet.
But I tell people all the time, I said the thing that was most memorable was the size. And you say, well, 8 foot, 400 pounds, that is big. No, you don't understand. It's big. You could see muscles. It wasn't a bodybuilder that, has the striations. It was big. It was built. It was cut up. You know, like I said, they're not the oiled muscle or builders, but you could see the hair, but you could see the muscle underneath. You could see the flexion. You could see it breathe. I remember thinking, because when it took a breath, it was like, it's going to suck all the air out of me. Because that chest, just, you could see it work. You could see it move.
Wow.
And when I told you, it let us see it, because we stood here, you know, for what seemed forever. It was probably 8 seconds, and it turned and it walked away. And the thing was this, look at this, and you know, it walked away and it was gone. It didn't work at this.
Wow.
It was like,
It just went right up that.
like you and I are walking on this pavement.
Wow.
And we heard it, like, just say to this tree, and then we didn't hear it anymore. Which at the time it didn't bother me, but as I'm walking back to the truck, I'm like, oh my God, where's he at? You know, I don't want to say I wasn't scared, okay, but I wasn't scared in a way of it was going to kill me. I was scared in a way of, holy shit, you know, this thing is for real.
Yeah.
This thing is, and I got a good understanding of those trees that we find, those 1 or 2 inch trees that are snapped off and twisted, where that power comes from, where the speed of it comes, where, you know, it blending in, because, I mean, it went up that hill like that hill was a ditch in your front yard.
So you heard it go up,
Yeah.
and then it just stopped.
I don't know if it stopped.
Okay.
I mean, because where we were, you know, back here,
Yeah.
you know, we had our light on it, and when it went up, I went to about here where I saw it go up.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm done. I thank you for the sighting, thank you for everything, but I gotta go. And
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. Okay, I just saw something that just shouldn't be allowed to exist, and it is. It's real, it breathes, it walks, it talks, it does all these things that we've always thought it was, and now I see where it is. It
Right.
made things that aren't real, and the things that are real, you question. Because it's not supposed to be here. It's not supposed to, you know.
And we hear that a lot with people who have these sightings. They, you know, all of a sudden they're forced to accept the fact that now they have to deal with this, and that makes you question everything, like you said.
Bob told me in the first couple months I started working with him, he said, I know you enjoy hunting and fishing and all this stuff, but I'm going to warn you ahead of time, this is going to change your life. Whatever, Bob. Let's just go find this thing, you know? I ain't scared. Well, I wasn't scared. It's just all of a sudden, I'm sitting in a tree stand in the woods while I'm deer hunting, and I'm looking over and I'm seeing these trees that are twisted around each other. I'm seeing these trees that are laid in between other trees. I'm seeing these other teepees things that are made. And then you start tearing it apart, and you're like, how does this get that way? But I mean, this went on for months and months and months, not us seeing it, but this was the pinnacle of, you know, our whole thing. We would hear things across the water here, across the road over here. We'd hear things up on the hill. And we used to walk up, you know, I gotta go for a walk and go take the horse route and go up that hill. And they had their area that we gave them that we don't go into.
Okay.
And it was close to where we would gift stuff. And we would hear those owls. We would hear bird calls. We would hear things that's not an owl. That's close, but
Can you talk more about that? That's a thing that's just now starting to come out, Glenn, that people are starting to really look into again.
And that's what, you know,
Because
you and I had this conversation on the phone the other day.
Yeah.
This, you know, people coming on TV saying, I have just now discovered that they make owl call.
Yeah.
Well, read some books, because Nino Cochise talked about it, you know, years ago, and every Indian legend talks about it. If you look at some of the tribal art, that is, a lot of the Bigfoot or woods people or giant people in the woods have a round mouth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's the howls, it's the hoots, it's the things like that that they make back and forth. They communicate. They're imitators.
Yeah.
And you know, just walking through the woods, and you hear an owl. Okay, there's an owl. I've got, you know, I'm not here for that. I'm here for this.
Right.
Well, guess what? Because you're looking this way, you
You missed what was
missed
really
what was
there.
really behind you.
And we've said this multiple times. We said it on the show. We said it, you know, multiple times. I even said it to you. You know, you're in the woods. Chances are something else is out there in the woods, and it's probably got, you know, it's got the jump on you if it wants you. I mean, that's
It can-
fact.
You know what? If there was something on this hill right now,
And there probably is.
they knew we were here when we pulled in. I mean, it knew we were here before we were here, you know.
Yeah.
They're just so good at it. And you know, they can't tell me that they don't know what a gun is. You know, when people get out of the car, load up a shotgun, and what that sound is when they're going deer hunting.
Yeah.
As you guys pulled in, on the right-hand side, there's a traffic sign on the road. Like I said, we stayed here a lot. I don't think she was my wife. We may have been newlywed, I don't know. Her and Bob, I was sleeping under one of the trees over here. Used to be so cool because this is what our view was.
Yeah. This
You
is
know,
amazing.
You lay here when nobody else is around and sleeping on a tree, and you wake up and you see the moon out.
Wow.
But anyway, I was sleeping under a tree at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my wife and Bob took a walk, and they got out on the main road here and up by that traffic sign.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look down, there's a deep ravine.
Back down again.
And they said something started going crazy, screaming at them. And it sounded like Bob, you know, the next day as we're going over it, sounded like something was either hitting its chest or actually had a hold. Trish described it as had a hold of something like a raccoon and beating it against the tree. That
Wow.
thud and screaming. So my wife, being the loving individual that she is, not stubborn and nosy, she started walking down the hill at it. I always said my wife's braver than 95% of the people I met in the woods. Because she hears something, she wants to know what it is. Why else are we there? But you've got something down at the bottom of this ravine screaming at me, I'm probably not going to go. You know, I'll take pictures for you, honey. But she wants to know. So she started down the hill, and Bob said, as soon as she took a few steps down, instant quiet.
Wow.
Not another word. And what we interpreted that later as, why is this crazy person coming down at me? I'm intimidating them to go away, and she's not. Why? Yes, we started up. These people were fishing down here. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And they said they saw something floating in the water. And they thought it was a pumpkin because it was so big around. And they said that they saw a Bigfoot swimming. They packed up and ran.
At this point, Glen's earlier words
Whoa.
became a bit prophetic.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
You saw it?
What was that flash?
You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the thermal, it wasn't a flash.
What was it in the thermal?
One of them. No.
Wonder what?
So you saw a flash?
I didn't see the flash.
While looking through his camera, Joe had seen a flash, but at the same time, I had seen something completely different on the
Hang
thermal.
on. 1 second. I'll show you. I'll brief you.
Was this really happening
We've been
again?
seeing things with the thermal. When did it start, Joe? Started last October, right? Yeah, right after, in October, after the Wild and Weird Con thing. Well, we were out on the trail. We were coming back. We were out there trying to verify, you know, where this sighting happened that we had, or that I had. Joe was cooking that day. But we went back out there that
I was
night.
cooking and feeding everybody.
Yes, he was. God bless him. But as we were walking back out of the woods after going out there and looking at this, you know, the site, kind of just a recon, pointed at the sky, and he saw a little light moving up there, like really fast actually. And then he pointed at another section of sky, and there was another little light moving up there really, really fast. Well, it came down to a whole lot of little lights moving very, very fast. So we started taking this thing out and just looking at the sky. There's things up there moving around, and they're moving pretty fast.
Look across the lake here. This is what I was telling you a couple weeks ago when we were talking on the phone. There were lights over there.
Okay.
As soon as Glenn mentioned lights, things began to get a little weird and a little synchronous.
And
I've got a
at 1 or
light
2 in the
point
morning-
moving straight that way. I'm tracking it right now. So, this was just charged. I just charged this. Like,
Oh, this was fully charged. It's almost at a quarter battery.
Several pieces of our
Yeah,
equipment
it's a-
began to
Do you see that?
experience battery loss.
So we're experiencing some equipment drainage, battery drainage. These were fully charged, absolutely fully charged. We had, what, 2 pieces of equipment or 3?
Oh, okay. You broke up that.
That's me. It's not the guy coming. 2 or 3 pieces of equipment that pretty much the batteries have just drained, and they haven't been on that long. There's no reason for that.
At this point, our documentation became more of an investigation, and Joe headed out into the woods to check out some spots. Remember, we've seen this almost exact thing happen before, and with our equipment now going dead on us, we decided to make one final sweep of the area. It was at this point when Glenn thought he noticed something in the area where Joe had just come from.
Hey, turn around and look at the trail that Joe just came up.
Joe had
Yeah,
just
I just
been
went
up
and
the
put
trail
tobacco
where
on
he
the
had
side of the
sprinkled
creek in a
some
minute.
tobacco as a
That's
gift
good.
to the ancestors of this land. We do this to show respect.
Yeah.
Not only had there been recent tragedies here, but there were ancient ones as well.
Square of like a shadow went across that. You see how you sit here?
Wouldn't surprise me, man.
I can't see it with that thing there. That's all right. You
I'm-
see how it's white?
Pull this back
It
out.
was like a shadow just went across.
There's something right here, guys. And it's moving. It's literally right in front of us. It's right there. There, see it?
Oh yeah, little thing.
What is that?
Maybe a shrew at that size.
Dude,
Yeah.
do you know what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
This reminded me of the small orb-like light that we had seen behind Deep End Antiques.
Who's got the IR cam?
Now, Joe decided to go in
What's up
for a
there?
closer look, and he thought it was a possum.
Yeah, that's not a possum.
Joe, this is not a possum, dude. I'm still seeing it on the therm. Look right in here. We'll see like a little seat signature pop up there every now and again.
Straight into the woods.
Yeah.
All right, talk to me there. I'll go.
Okay.
Glenn decided to join the hunt and join Joe
But
in
it's
the
over
field.
there in the woods, guys. It's not like it's in the brush. Oh, I see you. Yeah, you got a ways to go.
20 yards.
About 20 yards straight. He's facing the right way. Yeah, he's going the right way.
Whatever
now.
Joe
Yeah,
had
that's the right
seen
way.
was not what we were looking at on thermal.
There. Let's see if we see that thing.
But then
It was right
something
there.
else happened.
I don't
On
see
a
it now.
battery.
Just like that, our interview that had turned into an investigation came to an end. We never did figure out what was out there that night. Joe had came back and said that he thought that he had seen something like a small animal. However, it would have been yards away from where the thermal hit was. Curiously enough, when the thermal disappeared, that's when he thought he saw it. Whatever it was, we left the area with even more questions than we had come in with. Over the course of the evening, we had managed to go from filming a record of a past encounter to having our own strange experiences documented, while giving multiple witnesses their own glimpse at some of the strange mysteries that surround our work. It should be noted that one of those witnesses, a science teacher, also an astronomer, had this to say in regards to the UAP we observed. He had no idea what they were, and simply stated that he knew what was supposed to be up there and those shouldn't be. We left the area with even more questions than we had come in with, but managed to create some new and unforgettable memories along the way, and maybe, just maybe inspire the next generation of researchers.
Come on, I don't care. You know, tell me Bigfoot doesn't exist and prove it to me.
That's amazing.
And I'm going to tell you,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Let me turn this off for a second.
I don't care if Bigfoot exists, because guess what I got? It's moments like this, because we're talking about Bigfoot, that we get to enjoy.
Exactly.
Look at that.
That's exactly right.
That's
We
why
wouldn't
we're
be
doing it.
we wouldn't be here right now seeing
Correct.
this view if it weren't because of a bunch of us crazies running around out
Our
here
interest in
looking.
something that's not real.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's what they tell us, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like some of those posters I have that I sell. He doesn't care if you believe. He doesn't believe in you either. Your belief or non-belief doesn't matter.
This is a
You look like the Ghostbusters.
13.50. Dude, this is light.
You got proton pack?
This is light.
We do.
This is light.
This is Ron's not kidding.
We don't have proton packs.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We have somebody from Sprain here, Ron. We have proton.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Can you imagine the pictures you'd be able to snag
This is
of this?
amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can you go up to the shoreline and get it?
That's amazing.
Do you have this in Spain?
The moon? I'm pretty sure she has the moon, Joe. What? She's not from another planet.
Well,
She's from Spain.
if I could just argue that point.